teeth.
What's going on, guys? Been a while since I made a video. Just been busy, work life is busy. Diving into some new hobbies per se, some different topics. Weird world we live in today just, sent me down a path of I wouldn't say being a prepper by any stretch of the imagination, but just being prepared for certain things. So I just wanted to just really quickly just kind of introduce that to this channel for my sake. Lots of fishing and just life. Just haven't been able to share a whole lot. So just a quick update on things. We're still struggling with medical items with Mandy, and that's ongoing to say the least. So time I'm making this video, we are in the mid-April time frame, and so yeah. But I have been into radio for a while now, and those of you who follow me on like Facebook and things like that, you've seen me post items. So just really quickly, just kind of off the cuff, just some items. I'm gonna start throwing some videos out soon. Just kind of deep diving into some of the items I've been looking at. Those of you who know me pretty well know that me and my family, we came through Katrina in the Mississippi side, before the levee broke in Louisiana, right? There was actually a hurricane that actually hit Mississippi and it wrecked us. And me and my family were out of power for over a month. And to make a very long story short, there was a portion of that where communication, monetary things, things of value, all those things just came into true perspective of what we had and didn't have. And those of you who know me have probably heard me talk about bits and pieces of what we dealt with during that time period, and it literally took a village, it took a community. And I'd like to go into detail on some of that stuff later in a video and just kind of share our experience and my family and my close family that lived near us and our friends that we were linked to at the time, plus some of the other things that came into that aspect that really helped us kind of get through it. Because, a good long, 3-4 weeks of no power, no resources, no nothing, basically, that could change you. It absolutely takes a toll and takes an effect on your family. At the time, I had 2 kids and one in diapers, basically, and lots of small kids in the village, I'd say. Thankfully, I lived, close to family, and we were able to work that out, and we had some close friends at the time too. But what I've been diving into lately is that has led me down a path of just preparing for if we ever deal with that again. And we had Hurricane Beryl last year here in Texas, and I've since moved from Mississippi and I'm in the Houston area. So my kids basically are a good 500 miles away from me. So, and I've been thinking ever since we moved, like, hey, in the event that ever happened again, what would that look like? How am I going to link up with them? And things like that really kind of just churned in my brain, just preparation for that. Am I preparing for the apocalypse? I wouldn't say that. I'm more of a hurricane prepper, but I do believe that if you prepare enough for something like a hurricane, total darkness, outage, no cell, no power, no water, no resources, no money, no digital whatsoever, I do believe that you would be ready for just about anything. I know what preparation that I had done for hurricanes when we had the freeze in 2021. We were not perfectly prepared because I've never really thought through a freeze aspect. Cold weather just brings in a whole new dynamic, but that's, we essentially we were ready. We got by fairly easily and simply. We had a generator, we had backup power. And I've since, changed some infrastructure. Even recently, I've changed some infrastructure here to better deal with that kind of outage. But on that road to that type of storm preparation, communication really was a killer after Katrina, right? With no cell coverage, what little bit of cell coverage that there was in certain spots. Like, man, you just, back then it was wild. You just couldn't get anything. You couldn't get a text through. You could try to make a phone call and it just dropped. So we went through that for the longest time. But going down that road, I've dug into radio communications more and more. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not at this moment right now. I'm not a ham operator per se. But there are quite a bit of unlicensed methods that I just wanted to share and just kind of tell the world about that people aren't talking about. They're talking about it in bits and pieces, but they don't really share it out like, hey, this is an option for you to be able to do. And some of these are not as, some of them are a little, I don't know, subjective to like, nobody's like CB, nobody's on CB anymore, but you'd be surprised. I could probably fire this up right now and there'd be some voices on there, but that's kind of where it was at. So, bringing it back to why I was making this video is just talking about kind of where some of my videos will be headed, in the future. Got some fishing stuff coming up, obviously, but just I haven't had time to get away from the house. My kayak, we made a trip in Huntsville, late last year, and hadn't been back on the water since. Matter of fact, I probably still got the mud from Huntsville State Park on my kayak right now in the garage. I've just been super busy with work and not able to leave here. So on that note, in 2017, I think, really kind of started looking into the radio stuff, and I found what is called GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service, and I'll make a video kind of really deep diving into that. But it is a license. It's much like it's similar to a ham license, but there's no test. But what it gives me is access to certain things and more range and wattage in that space, and still be able to link up with unlicensed people on just your basic, everyday store-bought, bubble pack radios that you would see at Walmart. Those are considered FRS, Family Radio Service. They share some channels, but GMRS allows you to go more wattage and more range, and it's pretty phenomenal the more I dig into it. But yeah, so GMRS radio, that's some of this up here, right there. Got my handheld, this is my go-to, and I'll talk about it in some other video. So GMRS, the second portion of that there are some VHF, so that's UHF frequencies. There are some VHF frequencies as well that I found, MURS, and don't ask me what that stands for at the moment. I can't remember off the top of my head. MERS is what we call it, MURS. There's like 5 channels, and it's free to use for civilians or non-licensed people. There's also some marine frequencies that don't require a license as well, that are free for open talk. It's meant for over the water type stuff. And then there is the CB world, right? So there's basic CB, old school AM CB radio, and none of that's changed. All that is still there today, but there's depths of that I never actually got into when I was younger. I had a CB radio in my truck way back in the day, and but it was just CB, just channel point to point kind of thing, and and truckers used it a lot back then, and we'd be on the road and just you're kind of looking ahead at traffic and seeing what they're going to talk to you about, and just listening in sometimes. But it kind of gives you those gives you those aspects of what's out there on the road. But the next level of that, honestly, is on the AM side, is it's called single sideband channels. Not to get into what that is, we'll talk about that in another video, but it's almost like taking a frequency or taking a channel and splitting it in half, and you're able to use it and not interfere with the other. And probably some, no.
Conductive carbon black powder.
Yeah, there's
cobalt conductive.
plenty of, so I just turned the channel and there it is. So,
Repaired resistors.
let's see where this is. It gives you some long range ability.
I used to use this conductive silver glue epoxy shit. I don't know what the Chinese people did.
Pardon that. But I'll show that later. I've been posting some videos just talking all over the world, to be honest, all over the United States, due to something called skip. But yeah, it's out there. So there's upper sideband, lower sideband. Talk about that later. And then there's also the new side of CB is CB-FM. Not many people are using that, but it's also unlicensed, fairly clean signals. I think it's kind of a new thing that's gonna be able to come and be very, very usable. Another layer of that, on top of that, now mind you, that's, CB band frequencies. I'm using kind of an HF radio to talk into that range, but within legal limits. But there's another thing, it's called Meshtastic, and it's more of a like a messaging. It's almost like text messaging, but it uses radio. So it takes very simple devices like this. It's like a key card. I mean, like a badge that you clip to you. But inside of this is a GPS tracker, all the hardware you need, all the radio you need, and it will allow you to send text messages over radio. And there's actually these large, I don't know if you can see this map, there's quite a bit of activity all over the United States. Like for me specifically, I dig in here just off the cuff. There's quite a few like repeaters. On this other screen over here, this is long range. I got, I'm in an HOA and I've got some antennas up, and thankfully right now the HOA is not bothering me too bad. I try to be respectful. They're up right now, but at times I bring them down to where they're mostly out of sight, out of mind. But lately I've been, kind of talking a lot in the afternoon, and so I'll just show you some of that as well. So if you're in an HOA, there are options out there to do that. But I don't know. I just feel led to just share my experience in the radio space, and what I get from a lot of folks is, oh, just go get your ham, man. Just go get your ham tech license. And I am, because there's parts of that also that I do want to touch and use, but you don't have to. And that's my point. That's my point of some of these videos, is like, you don't have to go get a ham tech license, because at the end of the day, if I had my ham tech license and I got access to all this other radio part, I'm only talking to other ham tech licensed folks. My point of all of this is, like, we go fishing and camping, and whenever we get out and do, my license covers my family for the GMRS portion, and then everything else, if anybody uses it, it's license free. So just wanted to share that. But yeah, just went down a rabbit hole lately. Those of you know me, my ADD brain, and just digging in. Like, I've got quite a bit happening in this space, and I want to share it out. And definitely got some fishing videos coming up. I got a repeater from my house. We'll talk about that too. I got a repeater in the camper. So when we're out camping, that we get on our handhelds, no matter how far we get spread apart. Because sometimes I'm out on the lake and Mandy's back at the campground. But it just keeps us in contact 100%, when I'm way out of range. But yeah, life update. It's been crazy. It's been wild. So yeah, if you're interested, just hang with me, and I'll share some updates there. Just looking to learn more about it, share more about it. I wouldn't say it's super exciting by any stretch of the imagination. But the idea, like I said, was, how am I going to contact my family? And I have recently figured out somewhat of a way to do that, totally through radio, with no digital connections, technically no repeaters. At the moment, I have a way that will work, and I've tested it once. It's not super reliable, but it is an option that can be there. So basically, as I teach, my son-in-law on the other side of the over back home, that has my daughter and grandkids, and my other youngest daughter is actually staying with them as well. So I have a possible way, if nothing else, to contact them, whether it be we have had an event and we want to let them know we're okay, or vice versa, right? Playing a relay. My next step of that is to actually put a communication plan together in the event of a disaster scenario, and make sure that we understand what to do in that time. On top of that, we have really been kind of diving more into some of the other things that we ran into in Katrina, a little deeper than we ever have before. We've got a whole house generator set up. It's a portable generator, but it's set up as a whole house plug, and working on solar. There's a solar panel sitting right here in my room. Working on solar backup for in between generator runs, that type stuff. That was one of the things in the freeze that we struggled with, is the propane tank that we were using. The line froze up, so we lost our generator and lost our heat. Whole new set of struggles that I've never had to deal with. So just heads up, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to start showing more often. I'm also I've joined up with the board of a local it's not local, Texas statewide radio group, and we'll be doing some boosting stuff for them, trying to help them get just the notoriety and get folks involved in that. There was a thing that happened last year that really made people step away from radio, and now all of the more civilian level or non-licensed level communication and interweaving of people, and being able to just get on and talk during storms, it kind of got messed up. Not to get into details, but people just kind of put the radio down. And when Barrel happened was after that, and to be honest, I have never heard the radio so silent in Houston ever in my life. So I'm trying to work with them, get that going. Also, I've got the repeater at my house, but obviously that's not great, because now I got pretty large antenna out back that I have to manage to get up and down just to use it in this area. We're trying to get them to move get a repeater out here, full-fledged, professional repeater, into this dark side area. But for now, I'm toting the weight, and that's kind of the idea. So we're going to be making some videos on that channel. I may share some of that out as we go. But yeah, if you are in the mindset of preparing for the unknown, whatever the unknown is, I'm not a prepper. Right? I don't consider myself a prepper. There's no bunker in the ground. There's no, 60 bags of grains and rice and things in vats or any of that stuff, right? We're just kind of just basic things that you would need to do all the time. Just making sure you always have water on hand. And then also on top of all that, the Jeep, kind of setting it up also because I really enjoy talking on the radio now to people back and forth. Kind of brings back the old CB days to me. But even better because, these are like-minded folks and, fishermen and just, everyday people that work IT in downtown. You think of folks like this, like they're crazy and they live out there off grid or whatever, but it's not. There's a lot of folks that have lived through some bad hurricanes and some bad times, and they're just making sure that they're able to cope with that. So, all right, we are 20 minutes into this video, and I just wanted to just talk about it for just a moment, just let you know that just shifting slightly a bit. But yeah, we got some trips coming up. Maybe I'll get some fishing in, but when I have time, I'm gonna share some of this. We'll do a series of just this whole radio communication thing and share that out. I've also got a website setting up right now for some folks that have told me like, hey, I just don't know, I've got my license and I just don't know how to use it. There's no one really, I listen, but I'm really not sure what to do. So I just want to help out in that space and see if I can clear the air and help folks get more comfortable with it and let you realize that it's not what you think it is most of the time. It's really more just like texting and talking on the phone than anything in the world. But works off radio. Takes some gear, takes a little bit of knowledge. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. I've helped people already get their license and get set up with some gear pretty fast. They're on the radio. They're gone. They don't have to understand impedance and all the stuff that's the whole thing with ham that just turns a lot of people off. You don't have to understand all that thing. You just have to get a good setup that actually works, finding someone who knows how to help you get that set up. And once you get it set up, it just works. And you take care of it after that. And then it'll be there. It'll be super reliable after the fact. But, all right, 22 minutes in. This is Wes. Talk to you soon.
873, doing a really great job.